Hello, everybody. I'm the Six-Wheel Cowboy. Welcome to my new podcast. Please remain seated. This is our first episode. I'm going to talk about a variety of things: sports, popular TV, movies, politics, current events, disability issues, and who knows what else as we begin this journey of podcast goodness. I think initially I want to talk a little bit about something that's local in my area, and that is Russell Westbrook leaving the Oklahoma City Thunder. I mean, this blew me away. Lifelong Thunder fan, well, not lifelong, but for the 10 years they've been here, oh man, Russell Westbrook was the centerpiece of what we were doing. I think about when Kevin, Russell, and Harden were all here. They called themselves Thunder U. What a team we had. I mean, like 3 years after they got here, we're sitting in the NBA Finals. Blew me away. But here we are, 2019. The party's over. First it was Kevin. I won't go back into the whole story, but essentially this guy's a complete jerk off that just basically lied to everyone on the team and didn't come back. Ran off to Golden State. Did not fulfill his word to his teammates. He's come back. Went to a team that didn't need him. Golden State, the team that we had down 3-1 in the 2016 Western Conference Finals. Kevin decided to leave us and join them. So I'm not too surprised at what happened with Kevin, but I was hoping that Russell could get us there without him. Unfortunately, we've had trouble getting a solid supporting cast for Russ, so it's been difficult. He's been phenomenal. I mean, triple-double machine. If you recall last season, he had the famous 20-20-20 game following the death of rapper Nipsey Hussle, which I assume he admired based on the stats and some of the songs that were involved in number 20. So I think that was an ode to the rapper, but let me tell you, what a performance in that game. Nonetheless, Russell's now a member of the Houston Rockets. The good news is I do think we got a good deal. We got a lot of draft picks. Paul George started this roller coaster when he requested to be traded to the LA Clippers, despite only being 1 year into a 4-year deal. That kind of pissed me off, actually, because it's like, dude, if you sign a contract, fulfill that thing, man. Leave after your contract is up. But he demanded a trade after 1 year to be traded to the Clippers to play with his newfound best friend, Kawhi Leonard. And that left Russell with nothing here, and our team with nothing, essentially. So Russell, being the stand-up guy he is, he decided to offer himself as a trade to the Thunder, see what kind of value they could get for him, and ultimately a trade was made for Russell to go to Houston. We got CP3 and a few other players and just an absolute bevy of draft picks. I was reading one article, I can't remember, it was on Twitter actually, that said many of our draft picks are currently in 7th grade. I mean, like, we have draft picks starting this coming year all the way up through someone that's in 7th grade right now being eligible for the NBA. So I say so long, Russell, and thank you for all the effort you put in with our team over the years, and I hope you find what you need in Houston. And if you stick around, maybe I'll see you at the local movie theater or the local Starbucks, and if I do, I'll sure remind you what a great ambassador you were for this city. So ride high, buddy, and give us a lot more triple doubles out there. I'll be supporting you as best I can. That's if Harden will pass you the ball. That might be a big if anyway. So has this been the summer of trades or what in the NBA? I mean, we don't know where people are playing now. I mean, I read an article the other day that said D. Wade's famous jersey collection. Last season when he did his retirement tour. I guess that a lot of players gave him jerseys, to keep as mementos of his playing days. Well, apparently, a great majority of those are now not valid because they play for other teams. And the article basically said it's laughable how out of date that jersey collection is, even though he just collected it last season. So I'm pretty upset about the state of free agency in the NBA. Nobody wants to stay with their team anymore. You'd never hear of Michael Jordan, Magic Johnson, Larry Bird, these guys swapping teams every year. It's just unheard of. But now, entirely commonplace. Who do I blame? The AAU. I think the AAU has done more to take basketball back 3 steps. To really cause atrophy in the quality of our game. So how did AAU play a role in this? I think when these guys are young and they play on those summer league AAU teams, I think that they get in the mindset of, hey, bro, come play on my team. Hey, let's get a team together. Hey, my dad's coaching. Hey, and it's all high flying up down the court, no fundamentals. Well, now I think that mentality is coming to the NBA. And everybody's like turning the NBA into a giant AAU where everybody's constantly swapping teams and setting up super teams. And I hope that Adam Silver can really get some things going to shore up free agency in basketball. So weird. But at least we don't have to do all that taking a knee crap in basketball. God, I don't get that, because although I respect why the knee's being taken in football, I think it really distracts from the game and it really draws people apart more than it helps bring light to any cause. So I don't think that's been a real positive endeavor. And I'm glad we don't see it in basketball. Although there was an article about 2 weeks ago in which they made commission, I believe it's Adam Silver, something to that nature. He said that the NBA was going to be doing away with the term owner. And I thought it was pretty funny, actually. Are we that sensitive that we can no longer call team owners owners? Is that because he alluded that it was a racial sensitivity move? And I just think, wow, we are really digging deep into the sensitivity marketplace to come up with that. Geez, what are we going to do? We're going to not be able to call our boss's boss, or what's next? Who knows? So it'll be a heck of a basketball season. I know that. I'm looking forward to it. Who knows who's going to win it at this point? You got LeBron and AD out there in LA, and you've got Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving are in Brooklyn with the Nets. Then you've got Houston now with Harden and Westbrook, and the Clippers out in LA with Kawhi Leonard and Paul George. So I know one thing, one of those teams is going to win. But I just don't like the way the game is flowing at all. I like the old days when players stuck together, teams were built, and you did your best. You did your best, and nobody was trying to create a damn super team. But anyway, moving on. I don't know if we have any fight fans out there, but man, I'm still reeling from UFC 239 back on July 6th. We had the main event. We had John Jones against Thiago Santos for the light heavyweight championship of UFC, which is the Ultimate Fighting Championship. It is the premier mixed martial arts league in the world. But guess what, guys? That was not the main event. The main event was Jorge Masvidal versus Ben Funky Askren. This fight had been building for quite some time. You had renowned wrestler Ben Askren from the University of Missouri, 19-0 in the sport of mixed martial arts, against a bit of a resurging journeyman named Jorge Gamebred Masvidal. And most thought that Askren would easily get the win by using his dominant wrestling. But boy, did Jorge have something in store for him. So let me just paint the scene here. You know, a lot of people were mad at Askren going into this fight because they said he was talking trash and getting not focused on the fight, all this stuff. But those are people that don't understand how combat sports work. You have to sell fights, folks. You know, I know it's cool to sit up at the press conference table and say things like, oh, I'm just here to fight. Oh, I just want to get out there and do my job. Well, this isn't baseball. And this isn't football. This is a sport in which you need to sell pay-per-views. You need to sell tickets. And that's what Ben Askren did. He is trying to ascend. He's 34 years old. Just entered the UFC after a long career overseas fighting. So he's trying to make a quick ascension to the 170-pound title picture. And he did that by a very impressive win against longtime champion Robbie Lawler, in which he won by the rarely used bulldog choke. And if you haven't seen that fight, please go back and watch it because it was a controversial stoppage, to say the least. And now Ben was planning to fight the winner of Darren Till, the English striker, against Jorge Masvidal. Darren Till was a prohibitive favorite. Masvidal iced him. Iced him in the first round, knockout. So that left Ben to try and talk Masvidal into a fight. Well, of course, Masvidal seemed disinterested. I think it's because he didn't want to fight the wrestler, because he knew it would be a very difficult fight. So Ben went out of his way to pick a fight with Jorge. And he did. He talked about a time in the training gym when they trained together and how weak Jorge was in wrestling and how easily it was to control him, and how Jorge's infamous 3-piece and a soda combo would not work on Ben, and he would need the whole meal and those things of that nature. So Jorge finally accepted the fight. Not only that, but Ben sold a lot of tickets by hyping it up. And you ask almost anyone, they would tell you this is the main event of UFC 239. So when that fight started, I just waited for Ben to take him down and dominate. But Jorge had a different plan. Jorge puts his hands behind his back like he's been handcuffed. It's definitely a way to look like you're not looking for trouble, to kind of relax your opponent. This was while they were calling out the introductions. But as soon as the fight starts, Jorge takes off in a sprint, folks, and hits Ben Askren with a flying knee straight to the head as Ben is ducking for a takedown. Boom, fight over, 5 seconds, new record. And I was blown away. As an Askren fan, I was super impressed with how he handled the loss. He owned up to it. He talked about learning from it, talked about being an example for young kids entering wrestling and other sports. So I thought he handled it well. And all that back and forth by Jorge after the fight about he got what he deserves and he'll know not to call me out next time. I get that, but come on, man. Whatever. I mean, like you weren't going to fight him hard if he didn't talk trash, and he talked trash, and now you're going to fight hard, and please, that's a bunch of garbage. Basically, Jorge knew he had one shot, and he took it, and it landed. So if they rematch, I look for Askren to do much better. I look for the wrestler to dominate the fight. And I like Jorge Masvidal, I do. But I don't get this whole Ben got what he deserved because he broke the rules and talked trash. Ben sold the fight, folks. Ben sold the fight, which is exactly what he was supposed to do. Anyway, that's my take on the best parts of UFC 239. Next I believe we have Daniel Cormier and Stipe Miocic coming up, so I'm sure I'll talk about that in a future podcast. But anyway, I want to also talk briefly about my own story. Many of you know it. Some of you don't. I am from Dover, Oklahoma, born and raised in a rural farming community. Very proud of that. Born with cerebral palsy. I was born in June instead of September, and my organs weren't developed, and I had damage to my brain from lack of oxygen. And that's how I wound up with cerebral palsy, which gives me a cool accent and also prohibits very much use of my left hand. And see these gang signs? That's the palsy gang. You gotta be jumping into that damn thing. You can't get an invite any other way. And I also can't use my legs very well to walk. So I have full feeling of everything in my body, but the injury from the lack of oxygen causes me to have difficulty with some speaking and movement of my limbs, cerebral palsy. So I grew up in a small town, graduated with 17 people in Dover, Oklahoma. Very proud of where I came from. I wanted to be my best. I was pushed to be my best. And one of the things that I want to go over again and again on this podcast is how we can empower people with disabilities. You may have heard me on my other podcast, Handicap Media. I love doing those as well. But we talk a lot on there about learned helplessness. And I think that's where a lot of people with disabilities are, because we've been raised up in this environment, told we can't do anything, told we need to be on disability benefits, we need to just get by and hope for pity and jobs that don't pay. But let me tell you, that's not the way to go. The way to go is to get out there and live your best life, whether you have a disability or not. So we'll go into that more as time goes by, and I'll sprinkle in stories from my childhood and just life in general of growing up with a disability. But I wanted to give you a brief description of my disability in this first episode. Also, I'm really excited about this presidential election. I don't know who's going to win, but I would think Trump is a heavy favorite. I mean, I watched the Democratic debates, and boy, was I not impressed. I'll sum up probably 6 hours of debates with this. Trump is bad, he's evil, we have to beat him. It's pretty much their whole debate structure. I really have been ashamed of the way the Democrats have gone after Trump and the way the Democrats have, I think, not put the right issues at the forefront. And I look for them to suffer in the election. I don't see anyone that's going to be able to beat Trump. I could be wrong, but you've got Bernie over there. He's giving free everything. He's giving, I think if you even send him an email, somebody will drive to your home and leave you a $20 bill for sending an email. That's how it is. I mean, free health care, free school, free this, free that. Well, I don't know if that's going to work. Because you know what? It sounds a lot like socialism. And socialism has never worked, folks. It didn't work in Russia, Germany, and it won't work here. And I think the heart of the Democratic Party is now moving towards socialism. Let's hope I'm wrong, because I want the Democratic Party to be strong. But I don't see it right now. I just don't see it. So, if any of you want to reach me on social media, I'm at 6 Wheel Cowboy. That's the number 6 with the words wheel and cowboy. Instagram, Twitter. All right? Feel free to reach out as we go through different episodes. I'd love to hear from you, see if I can give you a little more of what you'd like to hear. So I was reading the news today, and I saw that we have a new James Bond coming, supposedly. And her name is Lashana Lynch, most noted for her role as the sidekick to Captain Marvel. Young black female, apparently is going to be the next James Bond. I don't really get that. What's her name going to be? Jana Bond? Are we going to make James be a gender neutral name? Are we going to give her a mullet so she has that gender neutral haircut? I don't know, but I just think it's weird. I don't know why we can't start a great franchise with a female lead spy. Why do we have to lose James Bond? If Hollywood doesn't want men in movies anymore, then they need to just come right out and say that. But to me, James Bond is an iconic figure, and I was rooting for Idris Elba to be the next James Bond. If you know Idris, he is a gentleman that's been in many, many films. He's been on The Wire. If you watch the great HBO series The Wire, he was Stringer Bell in that series. He's been in a lot of the Marvel movies, all of the Thor and Avengers movies. He played the character Heimdall, who has the responsibility on the planet of Asgard to open up the Bifrost so that people can travel between realms. And he's English, and I think he would have been a great Bond. But apparently that's not out there enough, and we need a female James Bond. Of course, and a minority female James Bond, which to me is interesting. I think Idris Elba, I was really pulling for him, like I said. And by the way, he's black, and I think he was just born to play Bond. But they're taking it in a whole new direction, apparently, and we're going with a female Bond. So the jury will remain out on that. So, this is like the worst time of year for me because I'm ready for football to start. I'm a big football fan. And when I say football, I'm not talking about soccer, folks. Oh my God, am I sick of soccer. And am I sick of that one soccer player? Oh my gosh. I almost had to throw my Sports Illustrated away. I'm so sick of seeing her face on everything. What's her name? Radamine or so? I don't even know. Is she American? Somebody make sure she's American. I don't even know where she's from. Anyway, but I'm ready for football, American football. I'm a Dallas Cowboys fan. I think we could be pretty good this year. I hope we can. We'll see. We'll see how the offense is. I think the defense is going to be very impressive. But I don't know how the defense will be. But anyway, I'm getting ready for a big week of work. I'm looking forward to a busy week. Got some travel, got some meetings. It'll be a good week, though. I believe that it'll be a great week. If you watch this video and you like it, let me know because I would like to do more. Talk about things you want to talk about. Like I said, there's a lot of podcasts out there, but there's not that many disability podcasts. And there's not going to be a podcast like mine that's going to do such a deep dive into pop culture while also talking about disability issues. Something that drives me crazy is people parking in the handicapped spots that don't need to. Oh my God, folks, do you really need to park there? And yes, I'm talking about you folks that have a handicap sign. I just can't believe some of you that have these signs and go to your doctor and say, oh, I was playing Scrabble and I had to reach across the board and I tweaked something, so now I need a handicap sign. Doctor's like, okay, how about 2? And you give one of those to your kid and everybody's happily parking up front of Walmart. Come on, folks. There's only a few spots. Same goes for seating. In theaters, for example, Oh my gosh, I can't stand it when somebody gets the designated wheelchair area. It's like, come on, man, that's the only place I can sit. Good Lord. This happened to me a while back at the Oklahoma State basketball tournament. I had squatters in the handicapped seating area, and I almost didn't get to watch my home county games going on. So, anyway, don't park there if you don't need to. Don't park there if you don't need to, folks. I mean, life's hard enough as it is. So, I'm really hoping that covering some of these issues will open up eyes and bridge the gap between people with disabilities and people without, and we'll have some fun along the way. I do know that a lot of times people don't talk. People just don't talk. I know we don't call each other. I mean, if you call somebody, man, you must be really interested in them, because it's all about texting now. Texting, social media posts. So I don't even know why we have phone calling on our phones anymore. We need to bring that back. You know, you hear a lot about Social Security running out of money, and that's true. Social Security's in trouble, guys. We need to make sure that the people that need disability benefits are getting them on time and without concern of them going away. And they're going away because we have too many people getting benefits. We have broadened the scope too far on what people receive based on what conditions. So my hope is that in the next few years, Social Security disability will be saved and funded properly, and if necessary, take a hard look at who's getting benefits. Because with all due respect out there, those benefits for some are the only way to live. And some people have gotten them through attorneys or through multiple attempts, and I just don't think that's the way that these benefits were meant to be. So, anyway, just throwing that out there with my politics. Just take care of those Social Security benefits. So, I've been hearing a lot about this show called Yellowstone. I'm thinking about watching it soon. It's on Paramount. I have season 1, I think, on iTunes. I'm going to check it out. Kevin Costner, Field of Dreams, The Bodyguard, Man of Steel. Do you remember that one? He was Paul Kent. He was Superman's dad in Man of Steel. So I think it'd be really cool to watch that. I may watch that. I may work on another episode. I know this episode was sloppy and straight from the hip, but I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you'll watch more. See you next time, and remember, please remain seated.